website SEO versus website development services, how they work. Big question, big room, big discussion, big event. We're going to hammer this down and we're going to really talk about this to make sure we have full information about this so that you have a business, you can also think about your business and say, where are we going? What are we doing? How are we doing this? And how will it work? So I'm excited for y'all being here today. If you're listening for the first time, please give me a follow. Just click on my face and follow me and turn the notification settings to always so that you can always connect with me so we can have great conversations here. And my name is Favor Abbas Ike, and I help business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators understand the value of website and online visibility by using your brand, your name on search engines and search bots, and more specifically for social media purposes. So it's a mixture of the two. And most times when people have websites, they think about websites in different ways. Welcome, Lakita. Good to see you. It's been a while. Thanks for being here. Javid, David, Melanie, Mike. Good to see you. Brandon as well. Sandra and Ali. You know, with websites, a lot of people look at them in different ways, right? And I look at it in a way that websites should be able to give you results. And when you look at websites, you're looking at websites from the point of view from how does it operate? What is the backbone? What is the structure? What is the functionality? Because a lot of people have websites. In fact, there are 1.1 billion people that have websites, and there are 1.1 billion websites in the world. So out of 8.2 billion people in the world, 1.1 billion have websites. So when we talk about websites, we're talking about branding, we're talking about vision, we're talking about creativity, and that says a lot about where you want this to go. And that's roughly even less than 15% of the world population. So that means there's a whole section, if you really think about it, right? If 15% or less, let's say roughly 13%, and you're averaging to connect to people within 85 to 87%, that's a big range because you have the website and you have the information. Most times you have the website, but you don't update the information. And other times you may update the information and you may not distribute the information. So there are different layers to getting your website, your business operating at a high level. And we've worked with real estate companies, we've worked with corporations, we've worked with small businesses from service to product, we've worked with health when it comes to food, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to massage. There's so many, and it's like, yeah, there's definitely something that I've seen that cuts across every industry, which is the technical fundamental setup of your website. So most times people purchase website development packages or services where they will just look for someone to do their website, build it, and let it go. And most times some people don't even know what they're paying for because they know they're getting a website, but they have no clue what the hosting is, what are the options, why this option over the other. So many factors to consider when it comes to renewals, when it comes to serving data points, when it comes to uploads, download speeds, when it comes to building a website that is optimized, welcome Mr. Chris, for mobile, for desktop, for tablet. How do you optimize these pages? These pages are so important and they operate differently. That's why they have different loading times. So I thought about this room and I said, what would I really want to share that would make the most sense so that if you want to consider getting someone to do your website or a business to build your website, whether it's going to be me, my team, or it's going to be another business, or it's going to be another agency, it's going to be another brand, these are the things that you need to know. Because if you don't know these things, it's either going to bite you later or you catch it first. Either way, there's going to be a checkmate at some point. So you want to understand the value and the differences between these two. And if these two work together hand in hand and it's happening at the same time, that's your better option. Because some people just do website SEO, they don't do website development. Some people do website development, they don't do website SEO. Some people do website SEO and website development. So if you draw a Venn diagram, that middle section in between the two circles, that's what we do. We do both the website SEO, the technical side, which is everything from the database, from the CNAME, the canonical name, all the way through your canonical tags, all the way through your HTML, your hypertext markup language, all the way through your HTTPS, your hypertext transfer protocol. All these things secure. You have to be very aware of how these things operate. So when you now think about your protocols, you think about your endpoints, you think about your DNS records, which is your domain name server or domain name system records. These are the records that are going to be connected to ICANN, ICANN. You can Google that. And you start noticing that all these different abbreviations I mentioned, these acronyms, these are different access points that all have to correlate, welcome way, and they have to be understanding, and more importantly, they have to make sense and they have to stay up. Because most times you may have a website, you may have paid $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 for a website, and you don't know what you paid for. You know you bought a website, but what you got was not a website, or it could be a website, but the website may not be as robust or as functional or as editable or as findable or as scannable or as indexable as you thought. There are platforms I've seen, we've worked with clients where we have to tell them, hey, we need to rebuild your website because where you have your website currently has no sitemap. We can't generate a sitemap for this website because it's a third-party website which you're subscribed to, and you can't be able to build a sitemap because this is on a platform that is on an open source, but this source is kind of sort of limited because you don't own the actual site. You own the domain, which is within a site that you don't own because you don't have access to your own hosting. So it changes everything because you can't easily be able to manage these things, but you have a website, right? You've just attached your domain and someone says, okay, I have a domain and I just connect it to my link tree. I have a domain, I'll just 301 redirect it to somewhere. Or I have a domain and I'll just put on a landing page. Not really. It's a website. It's not kind of, sort of, but it's not really a domain that has hosting that can actually be considered as a website. Because what a website is, we all know what a website is really. But if I was to break it down a little further, a website is an entry point to a desired need or end that requires user experience and clarity. I hope this makes sense. So when you have a website, your website is supposed to understand the endpoints. Welcome, Alex. Good to see you in a minute. You have a website that is going to cut across different mediums. So this website may be live to you because you can access it because it has a HTTPS, a hypertext transfer protocol, secure, great. But when you now look into other things that are technically interconnected to the platform, you get to see different things that happen. So your business now becomes that website that you can connect with and say, hey, here's my website. You can put it on LinkedIn, put it on Instagram, put it on TikTok, put it on Facebook, and you have a website. That's great. Now, some people just put www.website.com. Some people don't even put the www and leave the World Wide Web out and just keep the domain. Some people put https:// and then finish the pathway. So from that protocol, what you're essentially doing is you are prompting. You know, everybody talk about prompting with AI now, but if you think about prompting, it's sequence, it's sequential. So if there's a means to an end, there has to be a starting point and there has to be an end point. right? So end to end have to have signals. If my server is down, my website can't be active because I have records in my DNS that are not firing or triggering correctly. They're giving me a failed fetch. It's not a 200 okay. It's more of a 403 forbidden if that's happening, or it could be something that could be within there. It might be a 404 error. So we don't know these things because there are things that are operating behind that we don't know. Just last week, a client called and said, hey, my website, something's going on with the site. I can't even be able to see, it's not working. And I was like, do you mean the web page or the site? And she was like, the whole site. I said, what? So I said, okay, when last did you update your site? And she was like, I'm not sure. So I told her the first thing I told her, I gave her some parameters, say, go here, go here, go here, check this, check this, check this. And she was like, oh, I didn't renew it. So I was like, yeah, that's probably why it went down. So people don't know these things because they're busy, life be lifing, right? So if you don't know how to put these things or to know what's going on, it's going to be hard. So at the end of the day, the goal is for you to manage it just the way like you manage your body, you manage your time, you manage your house, you manage your resources, you manage everything that you know about. It's also good to manage your website. You get a social media manager, yes. You get a website manager, a content manager, something manager, yes. But you need to know who you're hiring to manage what you require the best outcome from. So when you think about a website, it's important because we're not just going to build you a website and tell you be gone. It's not going to happen that way because now it feels like you've given me a whole car that I can't drive. I got the keys, but I don't know how to step on the gas. I don't know how to brake. I don't know how to put the emergency brake. I don't know what to do with the steering wheel. I don't know what to do, but this is my car. The car is in my name, but I can't drive it. So you need to know what you're driving and how you're driving. And the driving is the traffic. It's the website property that you're getting. It's the signals. It's the reports. It's the links. It's the pages that you're building. Right? So your pages on your site are very dependent because people who build websites, they're building it based on what you tell them. If I say, hey, I just want a website that's going to do ABC, and I give you the font, I give you the colors, I give you the design, I give you the images, I give you the inspiration, and I say, go, you're going to do whatever because now you have the copy and you've now created something that's to you skill-wise, you're able to articulate and do it in a very good way. But the thing now becomes, how do you take someone's idea and give them something back that they actually appreciate because it now feels like the idea has become a real thing. It's become something that they can actually see. That's going to take some time. That's going to take some revisions. Your first draft is not always going to be your final draft. Whether it's a movie script, whether it is a blog, whether it's an email, whether it is a product, whatever you want, a dissertation, a research paper, your first draft is never going to be your final draft. An AI prompt, whatever you're going to do, there's always going to be refining. So if you have a website and it's just being developed, it's like a house. Once the house is built, the house is built. But when you start thinking about changing the paint, the bulbs, the light, the solar panels, the floor, the tiles, now we're talking about quality. Now we're talking about skill. Now we're talking about precision. So it now changes everything. The conversation switches. So that's why I want to be able to tell you the difference between these two, how they work, why they work hand in hand, and why they should and why they should not be working separately from each other. Because some people will say, oh, I got my website and I'm going to wait till everything is done so that we can do the SEO. And in my mind, I'm wondering, so what is a website for if the SEO is not integrated into what is being built? It's like saying, oh, we got a blueprint, but we don't know the measurement of the house. So we're just going to build what we can see. And then that way you can come and tell us if the measurement is correct. Huh? It's not going to work that way because everything has to be put to the T. It has to be connected and interconnected so there's no loops or there's no lapses. So these are the things that we're going to discuss tonight before we go. Alex, what's going on? Good to see you, man. How you been? We'd love to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah, no, it's a really good conversation. I actually have a pretty interesting kind of question, if you will, just because I was listening to a podcast and an engineer from Google. He was talking about how one would argue that kind of Google, um, they didn't birth websites, but they made them more easily accessible to find right through Google search back in the early 90s 2000s, kind of when Google search really kind of hit the scene. I think 1998 is the actual year, but the point I was getting at, which is an interesting debate around, they're saying with the rise of AI and chatbots and whatnot, that a lot of people are searching via ChatGPT, a Gemini, a Claude, whatever flavor of AI you want to use. So there's a question around, are people eventually, and this is just more of a devil's advocate question, are people going to bypass websites in the future because information is accessible via a chatbot? Now the website is still relevant, and that's where the information is being parsed from, but that's just kind of a nice little debate question I wanted to throw out there just to get that going.
That's a good one, Alex. Thank you for sharing. And I'm going to answer this real quick because I actually did something very practical. What's up, JL? Thanks for being here too. I literally went to chatgpt.com and all I asked was, how do you get information? ChatGPT says, literally, how do you get information was my question on my prompt. And what I got back, I got 4 points. And the first one, it says, I get information from a few different sources depending on the question. Number one, my training data. That one, I'm going to dive deep into that one because that's a content signal. My training data. I was trained. This is ChatGPT responding back to my question on how do you get information. I was trained on a mixture of licensed data created by human trainers. That human trainers, they won't tell you exactly what that is, but human trainers is technically human websites or websites built by humans that have trained content to be semantically indexed through the SERP, through the semantic web. So that's human trainers. And that could also be engineers, that could be other things as well within the technical setup. So I was trained on a mixture of licensed data created by human trainers, and publicly available information. What does that mean? Publicly available information means the internet. And what does the internet have? Websites. If there were no websites on the internet, we would not have anything to look at. So technically, it's pretty much reverse engineering at this point. So this is what ChatGPT says. This gives me general knowledge across many topics, but it has limits and can become outdated, which is true because websites get outdated. Websites don't update themselves. If they do, they have to be done in a manual or automatic way that has to be done sequentially. So it's not just going to be an automatic slop. There's going to be a lot of things that have to come in factor with that. So if it's saying that it has outdated information, which is true, it means that the data it's being trained on has to be updated on a regular basis. That's why we have different versions of ChatGPT. From 3.5 back then, now we're at 5 point something. I don't use ChatGPT myself, but I wanted to just give you that final example. So when you look at that, that's what it's giving us. Number two, ChatGPT says information you provide. That's the second thing. Everything you type in our conversation helps me understand your question and provide a relevant answer. Number three, web searches. You see, we're going back to the internet. When needed, in brackets. ChatGPT says for current events, recent news, businesses, websites. There we go. Products, local information, or anything that needs up-to-date verification, I can search the web and cite sources. Number four, memory, in brackets, if enabled and relevant. And it says, if you've asked me to remember certain references or long-term details, I can use those to personalize responses in future conversations. Now it also says what I don't do. There were three. I don't automatically know private information about you. I don't access your email, social media accounts, phone, or files unless you explicitly upload content or connect a service that allows access. And number 3, I don't see other people's conversations. If you're asking because you're curious about a specific answer I gave, tell me which one I can explain exactly where that information came from. Now, this is me asking ChatGPT.com, how do you get information? And this is what I got. Because Alex, you asked the question, and I want it to be as practical as possible. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on this and come to you as well, JL.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and it's more of a it's kind of more of a future kind of forward thinking projection of just, and I get kind of how things are done today, but I just question, will we kind of be in a world where, because info, and what's actually funny is because I worked in app engineering at Yelp, and I think what's so funny is the issue that Yelp had is when they could have gotten acquired by Google. Jeremy Stoppelman, he turned it down because he felt he could kind of outbuild Google from a what is it? I call it the online directory, right, of the internet. The yellow pages, the white pages, whatever you want to coin it as. And what's interesting is Google kind of leapfrogged Yelp, and even Google reviews and even Google reservations for restaurants kind of leapfrogged a lot of what Yelp did. And the bottom line is, from a consumer standpoint, we always tend to lean towards how can we accomplish or complete a task the fastest. So I'm just thinking in terms of when you need information on if you're trying to find, the best website for, graphic design, or you need a plumber, or whatever it is you need, and you need to kind of do a quick search. You need a website or somewhere to go to. You're looking for that match. I'm just questioning, will we start to live inside of chatbots instead of the traditional Google search? And then you'll kind of see the search results. You'll click on said website based on search results, and or whatever search engine you're using. But just kind of an interesting conversation to have. And I agree with all those points, and from the technical standpoint of how those AI chatbots are getting that information. But just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, it's so important because now things are changing. Yes, Google still has over 80 billion searches roughly a day. And if you're looking at everything now, because Google is not just Google, there's Google AI Overview, there's Google AI Mode, there's Google itself, there's Google Bot, there's Google Search Console, there's Google Analytics, there's Google Tag Manager. So it's like there's so many products within the product that scale the product. So like you said with Yelp, if Google and Yelp teamed up right now, Yelp would honestly, this is what I could think of. Possibly this could have happened if that deal went through. Right now with Google reviews, it would have been Yelp, and restaurants would have been able to sign up on Google, and Yelp would have had a bigger share, so that when you're now looking at maps, reviews, photos, videos, it's within that asset, but right now it's only within Google Business Profile. So I can just imagine if there was a merge or something that's going to create that interconnection between those two, between people who search for food or search for hotels or search for things that are already on Google, and they just map their way through that pipeline. So it's very important to look at those things because it still points back to websites, and they themselves are websites. Yelp.com is a website on Google.com. And Google.com is a website on Microsoft.com. So it's like they're all playing the role of a website. And we're also on ChatGPT.com, which is a website. So we're not going to leave websites, or websites are not going to leave us. Yes, we're going to be maybe in Web3, which is a whole different discussion. But when you now look at where we are now, there's so many things that are still going to apply within websites that if we don't train our websites to be able to protect and also give I can say input and search database to all these search bots, then we could actually end up being obsolete. Our content could be outdated because we could be getting something called content decay. And that means if we don't have anything that's last modified, then it's hard. If you wake up in the morning and you want to get the latest news today, and you get yesterday's news, you're not going to be excited about that. You're not going to be happy about that because today's news is present, right? Because news is north, east, west, and south. So you're getting news for today. compared to yesterday's newspaper or newsletter. So if we're getting news currently now, then the algorithm is going to look for the last updated or last modified update. And that's what's going to be cited by the AI search bots or the AI search overviews. That's going to now allow you to see those things on your browser, which will now lead you to the same websites you would have found on Google, but now it's more personalized because you have something more custom fit. So it definitely isn't going anywhere, but the way people will search, even voice search, asking Alexa, Siri, Google Home, these are the things that are already happening. So they're going to be very active and present as opposed to people just typing. Now people can actually go to google.com and actually speak to the search box and end up getting a result. So it's very important to think about how we are changing the way we do things so we don't keep to the same old ways of processing or building data points. So thank you so much for that, Alex, and welcome, Brandon. JL, we'd love to hear from you too before we come to you, Brandon.
Great point as always, Alex. Thank you for saying that. Today I don't have, I'm just happy to listen in today. I can kind of tell you selfishly why I am, holding my breath, waiting for your every word. I started a new venture. Everything is made with AI. So let me pause for a second. The only thing I wanted to say back to what you just said, it's a very minor detail. You said that ChatGPT is a website. Just want to make that correction that they have a website, but I believe most users use the app. And I think that context matters because if ChatGPT becomes also powerful, and same with Anthropic or Claude, then you could just live your entire life on one app. You don't have to log on to the internet at all. And I think that does. Anything about that before I talked about why I'm here tonight?
That's a great point you mentioned there, because what even got to my mind is it's the same thing with TikTok.com, where people use their phones. They use the TikTok app. Facebook.com, they still use the app. There's WhatsApp.com, but they still use the app. So the app and the web are going to still be interconnected together. And either way, the website is going to have the app links, and the app links are going to have the website links. If you're going to Apple and it's going to take you 7 days to have an update within your operating system, if it's going to be Android, it's going to be 3 to 4 days. Those processing times are still going to be buffered into how your website is going to be based on your domain authority. So I believe your website is still going to have that dominance, even if, yes, ChatGPT.com, quote unquote, is a website. Even now we have a browser, right? Not even just an app. ChatGPT has a browser. Perplexity has a whole browser. You can download the browser like you can download Chrome, and you can do that with ChatGPT now. So imagine ChatGPT having a browser, Perplexity having a browser, Google having a browser, DuckDuckGo having a browser, and at the same time, you can still use the app. You can still use the software. These are the things that are still in place, but the website is still part of the product line. It's still part of the domain authority. It's still part of the credibility. So it's not going to be debunked or deranked. It's going to be in a way that the website is going to actually enhance whatever is being done, because that way you're able to also still make those extreme measures to make sure that you have what you're looking for based on what you've created within your ecosystem. So yeah, it still definitely plays a big role. It's still just part of the vertical that actually still helps the visibility, and I can say the long-term gain macro-wise for the business. So you're definitely right on that.
In terms of, so I can let you get on with your show, but in terms of why I'm selfishly here tonight, I'm a former founder for anybody who doesn't know me. And I used to run a venture capital-backed company for a while, like about 8 years. And I'm no longer my own company, so I'm starting a new venture. And I learned a lot from the last one. Like I wasn't a person that knew a lot about marketing or sales before I started a company, but I learned a lot, and I paid attention to my team, who were more the expert than I was. And so now, this time, I have AI on my side. So, and I don't plan on, sorry, this man almost got ran over. Oh, it's very scary. Stay safe up there. But anyway, I'm using AI to build everything. I don't have to go raise venture capital. AI built out an entire website. I have been going insane about SEO for the last 3 days. practically on it. The SEO is going to be my lead gen to get the service people in so that they can download my app, which I'm going to be charging a monthly fee for, so that these people can run their businesses. They'll run every facet of their business on my app. So basically, my app is going to kind of be like their right hand person, right? That I want their app to be, you know, if you were a researcher, Google or whatever it may be, I want them to use it every minute of every day. And so SEO is how you get there. Right now, the industry doesn't have a lot of technology. The keyword searches are very low, like to get ranked, it's like 0 to 10 for most things. If you don't know what that means, that just means like how competitive is your industry for you know, people trying to come into the industry and compete. Mine is like very, very low. And I plan on staying in this industry for the next 7 to 10 years until I can sell the company for literally a boatload of money. So I'm really interested to hear what you say. You know, AI is very powerful, super powerful. Just from somebody who's done at a high level, I'm really excited about it. But I got a lot to learn, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, JL, and congratulations. That's a huge win for sure. I gotta give you that too as well, because it's big to look at it from those perspectives where you can see AI being the next thing that's going to help you make better decisions and more precisely save time and be more meticulous to things that you may have overlooked or maybe had oversight on just because of different factors. So using this thing as a way to really I can even say trim down the fat and streamline things that are going to be better that you can actually get within the outputs. Because when you look at websites now with AI, most people are talking about vibe coding and all these things, and it's still very early, because right now AI, as we speak, AI today, this very second, is in its worst state ever. And this is the worst it's ever going to be, because it's always going to get better and it's always going to get more and more intellectually and technologically advanced. So I believe where we're going is definitely going to get to a point where AI is going to be part and parcel, which it already is, but not everybody's experiencing it the same way, but it's going to become that eventually. So we also have to look at it from our own databases and say, how do we protect ourselves? Because when I mentioned this on ChatGPT and I asked, how do you get your information? And it talked about training. That training part is very important, because all the training that all these AI bots are getting is based on information we're inputting. It's input output. It's binary code. So if we are looking at how we put out information and also become relevant to the markets that we want to be part of, or we want to share, or we want to be within, then whatever we're putting out there within our websites is what's going to give us those citations or those recommendations. So when people say, oh, is SEO dead? Is SEO working? Is SEO relevant? It's very much alive, because now it's getting to a point where everything is put into a place. I think about SEO like a library. If you go to a library that is dysfunctional, if you go to a library that is disorganized, that's disoriented, it's not going to be easy for you to navigate or go through that library with ease, or with peace of mind, or with structure, or with logic, because there are things that you'd have to unpack, which would be taking a lot of your energy, compared to you going to a library. You want to go to a sports section, you want to go to a nonfiction section, you go to where you want to go and you get what you want from A through Z. So when you now look at 26 letters of the alphabet and you're picking out different components from different things, it's A through Z, then it's AA through ZZ, and then it's through AAA through ZZZ. Before you know it, you have something that is structural and someone can easily come in, index, inventory wise, otherwise it's going to be clean. Now our websites have that same thing, because if we have a website and let's say you have a web developer and this person just created 5 pages for you, they look like 5 pages realistically, but when you look at the technical hood, it looks like copy -1, copy -2, copy -3, and you have completely different websites, but those URLs, those tags, they are wrong. And most times web developers don't see that. They may just call the page about. It may call the page contact. And that's what it's supposed to be. But when you look at the functional setup of the website, when you now start indexing it through Google, there are some things that may have been there by default that they probably didn't update. So all these things to say is that with websites and SEO, we have to also think about how are they built, how are they set up, what do the pages say, what are the tags saying. If I send this to you through iMessage, if I send it to you through WhatsApp, these messages are going to have something called an open graph, which is going to be different from your meta title and your thumbnails. So if you're going to send different messages or different signals to the same source or through the same source, it's going to also send mixed signals too back to you, which is going to have skewed data. So all these things are very important because when they work together, like left brain, right brain, it's easier for your website to actually be connected to the servers and to the access points you want to actually show up at. That way it's not rocket science and you're not forecasting the wrong things because you already set something in place that gives you more prominence or even preeminence based on where you actually want to show up locally, regionally, nationally, or even internationally. So websites are very important to look into, and they may look hard or they may look daunting, but these are the access points to every type of information we need. If you're going to book a call with someone, if you're going to read about the news, if you're going to read about something, if you're going to lead someone from one page to the other, it's going to start off with a link. And that link is what they're going to see. If they click on the link and it's broken, or they click on the link and there's an error, it's hard for them to trust it because now it's like, oh, I don't want to come here again. Or it may say not secure. So those things, we may overlook them because we think that that's supposed to be the way it is. Yes, but that shouldn't be the norm, because there should be ways that if we structure things better, we would have one less thing to worry about. And now we can focus on customer experience, customer retention. We can focus on engagement, screen time, reading time, and the things that we actually love, which is going to give us our time back or even buy our time back over time. So thank you so much for saying that, JL. Brandon, we'd love to hear from you too. I know the last time we spoke, you talked about your website. Have you worked on it? What you working on? What's going down? Good evening. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's good to hear from y'all also. And definitely nice to hear your voice again. So I forget which website I was working on in the conversation that we had. If it was the community radio jukebox plugin, that one I'm still working on, and I made some cool improvements on it or progress. But why I got up here was because I wanted to respond to Alex's question about will we live in chatbots at some point, and from somebody who has been living in chatbots essentially since 2016 when the Alexa first came out. And I built, as soon as Alexa came out, I couldn't get an Alexa. However, I built a website that used a voice interface and used if this then that and was able to control my smart home and whatnot. And I've been working on narrow AI for a long time up until we got large language models. And I don't know, I see from my perspective, what I've seen is that the moment that companies with a high market cap and like they release mainstream features, we see a lot of changes happening. And I think that perhaps what we'll see is, going back to what you were talking about just now about structured data, perhaps we'll see structured data that's meant specifically for AI to allow things like clarification if you want like additional content, but you don't necessarily want it shown on the page, but it's really just there to let the AI know something contextually. So if it's hallucinating, to kind of course correct it, you know? I could see stuff like that being really valuable, or meta prompting for allowing you to provide suggestions on follow-up prompts or prompts that if this site is being linked to or indexed by Gemini Live or something like that. While you're here, these are some prompts that we've been thinking about or talking about, or we suggest. I don't know, stuff like that. That's what I was thinking about related to the topic.
This is big. Yeah. I would love to hear from you, Alex, as well. What are your thoughts? What are you seeing? You know, when you gave a thumbs up, what came to mind?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, something that we're looking at with the product that I'm building. So we provide a service, convenient service for food and beverage delivery at stadiums. And what we're looking at is, kind of when that shift is going to happen where when you want to order something, can you just speak into a chat bot on what you want to order? Like you don't have to visit a website, you don't need to download an app, kind of removing some of that friction, kind of some of those barriers of entry when it comes to just kind of getting someone to really initiate that transaction as fast as possible, right? And kind of is there a way to connect those dots in a way? So we're kind of looking at that and just the future of this really it's more of I guess if you were to make it a headline, it's more of like e-commerce, how that's going to change. Will you be just speaking to your phone to order something on Amazon instead of going to the Amazon app? I know there's some things you can do through Alexa and stuff now, but it's just kind of gauging when that shift is going to happen. I just think it's interesting to hear a lot of different opinions from people who not just work with tech, but also kind of develop it as well. Um, Interesting stuff. I don't think as a society, I think the average person, isn't quite there yet, but I do think in the near future, people are going to be just verbally stating what they want. And then kind of those services that get it and those services that are leading the pack are going to have some type of integration, some type of API where that kind of links directly to some type of service or some kind of authentication that takes place where they're already signed in, they're already got access to a digital wallet to some sort, and you can get things pretty much ordered just by speaking to your device. And it may not even be a phone to that degree. So just interesting.
Could it be your seat? Isn't this the app that you guys pivoted and you're now running food directly to people's seats in stadiums or something like that?
Yes, that is exactly it.
Yeah. Siri in your seat. Yeah, that sounds great.
So this is funny because there's a guy by the name of Colin Wallace, brilliant guy. He actually started something like this well before, he was way ahead of his time. And his company sold to Grubhub. This was in 2008, I want to say. This is a long time ago. But basically, I was chatting with him a couple years back, and he famously said that stadiums aren't built for kind of delivery, like a DoorDash, Uber Eats kind of operation. They're just not built for that, just structurally. But I do think we're kind of talking with different food vendors and just kind of professional teams and organizations, and there's a huge interest in, to your exact point, just being able to speak to your phone, something in your seat, and to get something delivered in the next 12 to 15 minutes type, time frame or window. So that's definitely kind of the future of, because people don't want to look. The NBA Finals is on right now. Not one person wants to look away from. It's a pretty good game too. Nobody wants to miss these moments. And the biggest, this is the biggest basketball game. Each game is obviously going to be big, but this is the finals. People want to see every single moment. With Wemby and the New York Knicks and whatnot. So I just think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Things are changing. Even now with your TV, you're using your remote to tell the TV, or you're just doing a voice prompt and say, hey, open this, check this video, or open this movie, or watch this. And it's changing. Or Alexa, turn off the lights. It's like things are changing right before our eyes. We're turning into smart homes. Some people are for it, some people are not for it, because they're like, what happens if something breaks down and my whole house is off because it's a whole smart house? People have these things, and these are real realities that are happening. So it's like, yes, it's good, yes, it's convenient, yes, it's flexible, yes, it's modern, yes, it's minimalistic, yes, it's something new. But some people may not want to adapt that fast. Some people may not even want to drive selfless driven cars because they're like, we don't trust AI. We can't see that happening. It's not really, they can't fathom that. It's like we're living in the Jetsons era, from the Flintstones era. So if you start thinking about all these different things, it's like, where are we going and how are we really putting this together? Yes, JL. Okay, JL, I thought you wanted to say something too because I saw you on mic, but let me know. But these are very important things to consider. Voice search, how we are connecting all these things to our website, what are we using, how are we also operating within chatbots, how do we use chatbots to even navigate the website so that when people are coming to the website, it's like going to a storefront or going to a pharmacy or going to a self-checkout, and you're doing things on your own and things are happening. Now with AI, you can use agents and you can literally run you take a screenshot of your grocery list and say, hey, go to Costco and check out with all these products, and someone's going to deliver it to your home, or do pickup and delivery, but you're using AI to measure that and you're doing that in real time. So things are changing. The way people are processing things and doing things definitely are going to change. I believe the websites that we're going to be using will need to be more dynamic. And that's why if we don't update our websites or we don't look at our websites differently, it's going to be hard for us to adapt to all these different data points that are coming back in. So I definitely believe on that too. Brandon, what do you think?
I agree. I think that there will likely be, being as somebody who's been in it for so long with chatbots, it's taken a long time to get to this point. So for me, I'm thrilled at the point that we're at, that people are just actively like that this level of engagement in a conversation with an AI is happening. So I'm not sure at what point people will have resistance, because I'm not really, my primary market and people I talk to are myself. So I'm all in on chatbots, but I do think that there will be resistance in the market to certain features, and people are still really worried about them taking jobs and concerned about that. And so as they see it develop and get better, because what you called trainers earlier, people like myself that are putting in structured data for these, I forget what you called it. What is this? It's part of the structured data of the internet. There was a specific name for it. You called it
Schema?
like a schema layer, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I see that as we get better at that and AI gets better and people see it improving, there's going to be both sides. It's continuously going to be polarizing, I think.
I agree. There's going to be a lot of push and pull. It's going to be a huge tug of war. But it's at the same time, I believe, just like when the internet first came, when the iPod first came, when the iPhone first came, there's always going to be that shake. There's going to be that ripple effect, and then people adapt. There are people who are alpha testers, beta testers. There are people who are early, maybe late bloomers, depending on if you're an early adopter or not. Then how you're going to adapt to it is also going to be a big role in how you're going to feel, because everyone may have watched the whole series, but you want to watch it, piece by piece every week. Someone may want to wait till everything is all released so they can binge on it for 5 hours straight. So everyone is going to do it differently. And that's why it's exciting too, because we're going to get into different case scenarios or use case studies. But at the same time, I believe if we want to know what it's going to be for us and how we want it to work, then we have to think about our websites and know what are we actually developing. Because when we're developing websites, maintaining websites, scaling websites, there are so many things that have to go into play, where you have to create systems that allow your service to operate at a high capacity and not at a low frequency either. So being on these platforms are great, and building your website and operating it, like you said, too, having those documentation pieces are important, because there's something called entity SEO. I don't talk about it much, but I believe I'll do a room on this just to cover this in its entirety. Entity SEO is basically just another way of saying that with entity SEO, you're looking at the entire frame of the website. So this is technically like the future of SEO. So what this means is that you're creating authority by being visible on networks that are already reputable, like YouTube, like Reddit, like LinkedIn, right? These are places that people have authority. There are people who talk about things there that you know them for. If I say Mr. Beast, you know where that could go to when you look at different things on YouTube. If I say someone's name on LinkedIn or something on Reddit, you can be able to go to a thread, or you're able to now refer back to a profile. The same thing goes with your brand and your trust signals. So when you're building entity relationships, you're building it based on what the digital PR is saying about you, what you're saying about yourself, and how you're also getting mentions across the web. So if you're visible on all these platforms and you're also providing content that people actually search for, which are within your systems, then it's going to be easier for you to actually have those access points, because website SEO is technically looking at the whole website, making sure it's functional. First of all, it's on, it's active, there's uptime, there's speed, good speed, light speed, if I can put it that way, and you're using your website to generate traffic, generate leads, generate engagement, generate data points. That way you know, okay, people are coming from this city, from this country, from this place, and then you use those data points to now go into testing. Because a lot of people run ads, but they run ads based on research they've guessed outside their website. The ones that do research within their website and know, okay, the last 30 days, the last 90 days, we've had X number of cities, X number of countries, X number of zip codes, then we can now run ads to those specific places, because that's where we already have some type of communication, some type of value, some type of, at least they've seen me once or twice. I'm not a stranger. They're not a stranger. We actually, it's like, I've seen you before. Oh, you look familiar. That in itself is that psychological marketing framework that now goes into the psychographics of how people interconnect. So when you start doing it that way and you start really using your organic to direct the narrative of your paid, whether it's earned media or paid media or shared media, it's coming from owned media, which is your website. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I believe it's getting more enhanced and more sophisticated to the point where it's going to be more, I would say, more skill-based. Because if your website is going to see that long-term gain, then the things that you put on your website will have to also adapt to the new ways of how websites are being scraped. Because now with SEO, with AI, with technology, things are changing. Just today, Google Search Central, which is Google Search Console as well, they announced that they've introduced something called, I can call it AI impressions, but they've done it now in the Search Console. This is something that they weren't doing before, and everyone has been talking about it. Now it's like, oh, it's actually going to happen. So if we are now looking at this from the long-term perspective, and we're seeing that, okay, we're getting more results from Google is creating more visibility for us, but we're also seeing it too in a new way, then it means that we have to be also be careful with how we're processing data points too. So these are some very important things to factor in, and I didn't want to leave this behind, because I wanted us to also know about these things and be aware, so that when we're thinking about what's happening, what's not happening, at least we're able to look and say, okay, we want a website, we need a website. What are the things that we need to ask? Where is it being hosted? How is it being hosted? Is it me hosting it? Is it you hosting it? Those are questions that have to be answered. So that way you're able to get those things, because right now Google Search Console have called it generative AI features. That's what it's called. And it's AI search performance. So now you have your actual performance on the Search Console, and now you have generative AI. That's going to be very new. So just imagine what's going to be happening in the next few months. And the reason why this is happening is because we're talking about AI, we're talking about visibility, we're talking about branding, we're talking about credibility, and all these search consoles, because Google Search Console is an internet service provider for Google. And when you look at these data points, you get to realize and see that, oh, there's a difference in how things are changing, because we're not only tracking clicks or rankings or click-throughs or impressions, we're also ranking and also basing our information on how people type. Because when you start seeing how people type and it's printing into your database, it's going to be easier for you to have that output, because you already have the input. You can't give what you don't have. So it's based on giving people the red carpet, let them walk, let them have a good time. From there, you can get your feedback, you can get your loops. And now you know, how do I refine this? How do I make this better? How do I give a version 2.0? And those are the things that we don't really look at, but these are things that we have to pay attention to. So this is really exciting. I'm glad we were able to talk about this. Alex, JL, Brandon, are there any questions or anything you'd like to add or mention before we go? We'd love to just hear from us all, and I'm tossing the mic up.
Now, I was just gonna share. We were mentioning kind of about adoption. This might have been 10 minutes ago, but I want to kind of share some really kind of things that you would think are obvious, but when I say adoption, I mean, and I'm just speaking purely from someone who's building a product or service, and you're trying to engage your customer, right? And you want them to interact with you. And kind of one of the things we learned early on, which is interesting, is this was back in, I want to say 2019. This is right before COVID. Around 2019, we had developed an app. We had an Android app and an iOS app. And what's funny is we were getting around certain stadiums, and people did not want to download apps. So we had to have a ordering site via our website, because it's like, hey, in the event that some people didn't want to go to the app store, download an app, wait for that to load, they were like, I just want to jump in. And listen, we were an impulse purchase. A lot of people would purchase food and beverage at the stadium when they found out that Grabler was a thing. So it's like, oh, I can get this delivered to me. I'm just gonna, try it this one time. I may not need to actually have this app on my phone, but the point is we had to kind of shift and really have that website offering. The term here, for those who want to learn something new, omnichannel approach, which basically is something like you'll see a lot of retailers do this, where you can purchase an item from Target and you can get it shipped to your house. You can walk into the store and get it. You can have it already kind of bagged up for you, if you purchase it online and just pick it up in store. But the whole point is there's multiple ways to receive that item, no matter how you purchase it. So the point there was we had to shift and really create a website. And then also the other thing, which I think is really interesting, and it's something we learned years ago, is that people will try something new as long as it's easier. As long as it's easier than the current way to do something. If you can remove a step, if you can make something a little bit, more seamless, less rigid, if frankly, and I probably need a better way of saying this, but most people are lazy. They don't want to do a whole lot. So the less they have to do, right? I always say the faster you can take somebody's money, the more they'll give it to you. So it is one of those things where no matter what your business is, like Flavor's saying, is, your website matters, the checkout process matters. How can they find things faster? How can they get to what they're looking for? Checkout, shipping, that whole process. It makes a huge difference. And kind of once you get that kind of under your belt, and you kind of, I call it kind of that sequence, or, I'm kind of lost for words, but it's one of those things where once you get it down, you get really good at it. And that funnel that you kind of put people through, it tends to work like magic. And then you're going to get to the point where you can't stop it. Like, people are constantly doing business with you, and it's just their routine. And I think the science behind that is, I want to say anything that we do about 2 to 3 times is now part of a routine. So people are kind of used to doing that. But I'll get off my soapbox, but I just thought that was an interesting share, and some stuff we've done in the past.
Thank you, Alex. That is a great point. You got me thinking about something that we did a couple years ago for a client at a mall, and they sell loungewear, and they are online, and they have a whole warehouse, and this is in Maryland, and they wanted to migrate off of the mall or just being in store to just being purely online, so that they can also just maximize on online activity. And we did a case study, and we realized, like you said, with the app and with mobile, people just don't want to download something the first time. Like most times, like let's say you go to a conference and there's an app you got to download, people would rather scan a QR code and get everything they need on that tab and keep that tab open until the event is over or until the conference is over, than them having to download the app, sign up, do all that process, because people want the least pathway to resistance. So if you're now thinking, or even say from resistance, because people don't want to go through all that to get to where they need to be at. So if you're giving them 5 steps and somebody else is giving them 1, they would rather just focus on the 1. So we were able to now give different businesses, the opportunity to see how they can be able to use this. So we now said, okay, we're going to do a raffle draft. That way we can do a raffle draw specifically for somebody who would want the loungewear. So people who are walking in and out of the mall, and they're literally right at the beginning. As soon as you walk into the mall and one of the sides, you see them right there. So I said, okay, we're going to create QR codes, which will lead them to now sign up. And now we can get their contact information. If they have any questions about it, they sign up. As soon as they sign up, they get an email, and then they've entered the raffle draw. And that was very successful, because after doing that consecutively, eventually now all the people that were strangers, quote unquote, now are actually close to fans, because they're not actual fans yet, but they're people who can be in support of what is being done because of what they've seen off of a one-time experience. So doing those things and letting more people know about it so that people can actually understand where they're going is much easier, because you're giving people an access and also giving them a chance to choose, than them just doing it haphazardly because they don't have an option. You get 3 options at Starbucks, you get 4 options when you have a new iPhone. So you're able to choose which color you want, because you don't want to just stick to one. You want to have the power to choose. And that choosing is where you now give the power to the customer. That's why people say the customer is always right, when people talk about that with business. So I love how you mentioned that, Alex. Thanks for bringing that in too. JL, would you like something to say before we go? Points, suggestions, what are your thoughts?
No, I'm good now. I'm going to let the teacher teach, but appreciate it.
Appreciate you, JL. What about you, Brandon?
I was essentially going to say the same thing. I appreciate this conversation. It's been very engaging. Thank you.
You guys are amazing, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. I see a lot of pink tickets in the room. Please make sure before you leave here, this is the Marketing Club. I'm one of the leaders here. And at the very top, if you click on Marketing Club, cash in your ticket so that you can be here as a member. We have 354,486 members in this house. So this is somewhere that I would love you to be. If you like conversations like this, if you like topics like this, more importantly, click the link on my face or just hit my profile and you have access to me, where you on the right side, you can click on the 3 dots and you can turn notification settings to always. So if you ever have time and I'm talking here on the app, you can be able to connect to me here as well. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central, and just convert that to your time zone, I'm going to be here talking about how to create your own search engine on Google. This is going to be a very exciting topic. I wanted to do it tonight, but I was like, nah, I got to do this when people are up, they're fresh, it's in the morning, it's daytime, and they can really see it for themselves. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, how to create your own search engine on Google, so that you can be able to see actually what happens in the Search Console, what happens on Google, and how it actually translates back to your website. So I wanted to give this as a preliminary so that we can actually understand website SEO and website development services and how they work. And then we can now dive deeper into how they actually operate, so we can do a reverse loop. Like Alex said, with the omnichannel experience, how are you able to bring things back 360? So thank you all for being here. Deolu, I see you. Mr. Chris, Melanie, the 2 Annans, Zoot, Prakash, Rahul, Naba, Elena, Michelle, Yutika, Sandra, Vicky, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Bull, Sadiq, Manuel, Ariraju, Just, Kim, Shabab 17, April, Marin, thank you for being here too. Cherry, Prasanna, Ruby, Alganaz, Jennifer, Famous, Mimi, Yvette, Sandra, So, Lamont, Dora, Mugi, thank you for being here as well. Samantha, and also Yag. You guys are all amazing. Appreciate you for being here tonight. Thank you as well, Brandon, JL, and Alex for being with me here today on stage. If you guys have any questions, if you need your website taken care of, audit done, if you want to get on a call with me, if you want to discuss for 30 minutes so that we can get to know how we can help your website and your business grow, the link is available at the top. If you want to get more information like this and also get emails where I send out newsletters and share a lot of insights, and you want to learn more about this, the link is available above so that you can be able to be here. You can also save this replay on the top right of your screen right before you leave quietly, so that when you save this replay, you can come back or click this link and put it to your browser so that you can access all the information after this room. So without much further ado, thank you all for being here. God bless you all. Have a wonderful night, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow in the morning. Take care and be blessed and have a blissful night. Take care. Bye for now. Welcome to season 13, where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. A lot of information is always given on this show. So we're in the 13th season. God has brought us so far, and I just want to thank God for the opportunity to connect with you today on such quiet, calm space like this. So thank you for listening. Know that Jesus loves you, and know that you can always connect with me on the We Don't Play podcast show. More specifically, go to WeDon'tPlayPodcast.com, or you can go to playinc.online. That is PLAYINC.online, and get in touch with me. Let's get on a call. Let's talk. Let's focus on SEO for 2026 and beyond. So until we meet in the next episode, God bless you. Jesus loves you. Stay hydrated, stay safe, and stay blessed, and stay tuned. Bye for now.